So today we've been talking to Priscilla about our experiences in the US, starting our little Aussie business over there, and all the stories that we saw over there as far as how workers are treated in the United States and how we think that that's a big problem and how that's getting imported into Australia. So if you've got a story you'd like to tell, we're the platform to tell it on. So please reach out to us at the Courier Academy. Let's do this together. Let's win. Welcome to the Courier Academy podcast. Today I got a really special guest. Her name's Priscilla. She's a great mate of mine. In 2017, I basically jumped on a plane with Priscilla. We went to the US. I met her there with a credit card. I kicked off Yellow Express. It was pretty funny, wasn't it? We just had a go, didn't we?
It was a very interesting time, to say the least.
It was crazy. We ended up in Miami. We had an office. We took Yellow Express to market, and so there were some amazing things that happened. In short, I got my ass handed to me in Miami, that's for sure. And you were there. You were my ride or die, and I love you to bits for doing that with me. And she's for some reason still here today, 6 years later.
Even after that.
I know. But the reason why Priscilla and I thought it would be great to do a podcast on that subject was because, we lived and breathed starting a little Aussie company in the US. And, and I know that you'd been in the US before that, working in different things. But we really got a welcome to first grade when we went and did that. And there's many things that I saw and that we saw about Yellow Express in Miami, and then also in Denver, where we eventually got to after Miami. But there's many things that still haunt me to this day about the types about how big tech look at drivers as commodities, about all of the interviews that I did with all the relevant people that wanted to, have that Yellow Express opportunity, and the mistakes I made, and the people that we met, and there's just so many things. And the big thing for me about being an Australian citizen, as you are, and being in the US and starting to talk to, working class people,
mm-hmm.
How tough life is in the US for working class people. And how I can, and we saw firsthand the types of things that I think are starting to get imported into Australia from the US that I think we should be running a million miles away from. Now, let me get this straight. I'm not saying anything bad about American working class people. I've met some of the nicest people over there, the American working class people. But just the types of star-spangled bullshit that they get rammed down their throats, for somehow being a good thing, working 2 and 3 jobs just to barely put food on the table.
Yeah, just to kind of break even, actually. That I think they get fed the American dream, and they're forced to work a lot of hours, and things are really expensive, so it's hard to keep up. I mean, I have a really good example of this. When I was living in New Jersey, I was sick and I had to call an ambulance. And I have very, very good insurance over there, but a bill came and it was $1,000.
US.
US.
Yeah.
Even with insurance.
About 1,500 Aussie, that, isn't it?
Yeah, and I remember looking at it saying, I shouldn't have to pay this. Like, I have insurance, I should be covered. Like, something doesn't make sense. And I didn't pay it, and I kept getting notices, and I just thought to myself, I'm able to pay this money for it. I didn't think it was just that I get sick and no one's there to look after me. And, once that cycle starts happening, and I'm thinking, if I was a single mother and couldn't afford this, I couldn't afford to get sick, that means I would get these notices, my credit score would go down, I wouldn't be able to get credit, I wouldn't be able to pay my rent, and the cycle just keeps on going. So you're basically on a rat race trying to live.
Well, look, and just so everyone that's out there thinking, hey, what's that got to do with couriers? here's the thing, or transport, anyone working in transport, there are tens of millions of people that work for big tech doing exactly that, right? And in my opinion, not in my opinion, it's not an opinion, it's a race to the bottom. That style of work where you get, you know, people working 2 or 3 or 5 or 6 different apps, doing food delivery at night, doing package delivery during the day, doing human transportation. I'm trying to stay away from saying
Right.
that word. And by seeing and having a sort of a unique product like Yellow Express was over there, and we were kind of, if anything, our pitch over there was we are U-Haul that comes to you, right? And people understood that. And with that, that was an exciting thing for consumers over there, and also people that work, because we got to charge a proper hourly rate. And look, as being my father's son, and he's always been all about a fair go and making sure that a good deal is if when everyone wins. We were paying $30 an hour plus tips, which is just unheard of.
Which is good.
Well, it's just unheard of in the US for those types of jobs. And so, and by the time we got to Denver, we got that happening. We were actually got traction finally, after I made the $1 million worth of mistakes, But anyhow,
it was worth it.
We're still here. But the big thing, and I remember coming back on the plane from the US after when Trump shut the country down with COVID, and we had to make a decision to get out of there. The biggest thing that haunts me to this day was just all the great people that I met and all the stories that I heard. I mean, I would have interviewed hundreds of people, and you were there for some of it, of just, grown men with kids and 2 and 3 kids and all that sort of stuff. And, in tears, begging for this opportunity. And we only had so many vans. We only had so much bandwidth to, book work and distribute it. And it just to this day haunts me. And the subject matter of today is are we importing those types of things and those type of companies into this country, and are drivers' rights and benefits being looked after, and are we heading down the path of being a mini America as far as workers' rights are concerned? And the answer is abso-fucking-lutely.
Yeah.
It just is. And the thing that, gets me is this, George Bush, I remember seeing something with George Bush, there's a little soundbite of him saying, there was a particular worker that was talking to him from the crowd, and he works 3 jobs. And he goes, "Isn't that great? That's typically American." And I'm just thinking, great. Who wants to do that? Who wants to live to work? Mm. I mean, the idea is working to live, the other way, having time for your kids, having enough money to provide, potentially buy a house.
Just to enjoy yourself.
Yeah, I know. But it was a big thing for me in the US, and for you, I know that much, to see how difficult it is. And I'm there's companies, I think there was a company, okay, we'll look at Starbucks, for instance, not transport related, but, they've got union busting efforts over there which is crazy. It's like, it's insane that there's a company that's trying to prevent people getting together and forming an alliance to work to fight against these minimum wage things that goes on for their own best interests. And there's governments and lobbyists that are set up to try and destroy that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's insane.
That's just the hierarchy of America. I mean, the people that own Starbucks, they have so much power that they're influenced by other powerful people.
Yes.
So if they know that, you've got herds of people that need to work for Starbucks because people need their coffee, then they want to control them. And the only way they can do that is if they don't have any power. So you take the power away from them, feed them some minimum wage. They get great benefits, like insurance benefits. So they're kind of...
Yeah, but, okay, hang on.
It doesn't balance out.
But the insurance benefits they get, there's insurance and then there's insurance. And you know as well as I do that there's over there, it's almost like a job is tied to... people have to get a job in order so they can get some form of health insurance. And there's the different levels. There's gold, silver, bronze, all the rest of it. And then there's, dog shit ones that aren't worth anything. And it's almost like they're tying living to working for crappy wages. Like, I better go and do that crappy job that pays me nothing, and so I can live paycheck to paycheck and be on that sort of roundabout of never being able to get ahead, okay, and working ridiculous hours, haven't got time for your kids, and in order so I can get healthcare just in case I get sick later in life. And to be honest, if you think about it logically, the job itself is probably making the person sick.
That's right.
You know what I mean? It's like from stress, and I just found it a very stressful environment. And look, here's another thing too. Australians, I believe, we're America's best mate.
Yes.
All right? Ever since Croc Dundee, okay, that's not a knife, this is a knife movie. Ever since Croc Dundee, we've kind of, Americans have that affinity with us. And, America likes to call itself, the greatest country in the world. Whereas, let's face it, we've lived
Australia is.
Australia is the actual greatest country in the world, right? And we've got it so good here. I mean, we've seen both sides. I mean, the benefits we get as an Australian, all that sort of stuff. And, you get sick over there, you could die. Your kids could die.
No, you'd go broke.
Or go broke, or worse. The 60,000 people a year in the US die from not having proper health cover. 60,000 people a year. Madness. So look, I think this is related to this particular podcast because, when I look at companies that are, in particular, big tech companies that are in transport, whether it's transporting humans or packages or even companies like Amazon that have got that union-busting mentality as well. When I look at companies like that, that are, actively out there doing that, they're here, these companies. Those big tech companies are here, right? And I think to myself, why does that big tech company even exist? Shouldn't that technology be in the hands of the people that are performing the tasks?
It should.
Yeah, why do they take such a big percentage out of the actual job? I mean, let's face it, the actual worker is doing the hard yards, waking up in the morning, putting fuel in the car, taking a risk, putting a passenger in the car or a delivery or whatever, dealing with traffic, dealing with the fluctuation of fuel and all that sort of thing. And I don't want to see that happen here. And we are a mini America. We tend to sort of, if they catch the flu, we catch a cold. And I can see that happening here, and we need to prevent that.
So we need to get unions together for transport people.
Who knows, mate? All I know is I think the more we talk like this and the more we sort of tap people on the shoulder, and get them to realise that, there's, in my opinion, not big problems ahead. There are big problems right now that we need to deal with, and we need to focus on that, and we need to tell the story of a little guy out in the road, whether he's working for big tech or courier companies or, any sort of transport business, trucking. So you only just got back from the US just recently.
I did.
Do you often use big tech companies in the US to transport you?
You use it for everything.
Everything, isn't it? Food delivery, just name it, everything.
Shopping, groceries, clothes. Cool.
And they still rely heavily on tips, don't they?
They do.
It's still a massive culture there.
Yeah.
Okay. And as far as you're concerned, are they well paid?
No.
And they're relying on those tips in order to, yeah, okay.
They definitely are. I mean, that's why they're so much nicer, because they're expecting it. It's culturally, it's so embedded to do that.
But think about that. You're having to be fake nice. If there's one thing I cannot stand, is having to be fake nice. I don't think I've done it in 30 years.
You haven't?
Yeah. I'm not nice at it.
Not in the 12 years that I've known you.
Yeah, okay. I can't be fake nice. So what a tip is representative to me in the US is I'm going to have to be fake nice to this person that's probably not nice to me or whatever, okay? And I can't stand
doesn't
it.
care. Yeah.
Doesn't care, all that sort of stuff. Probably doesn't even want a tip, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's demoralizing
Yeah.
for the driver or the person
Yeah.
giving you something.
Anyhow, so look, this is a big subject matter for me because we experienced that in the US when we were doing business over there. And you know what? All this star-spangled American bullshit that gets rammed down those poor workers that are 80% of them are working paycheck to paycheck just so they can, barely provide for their families.
They're in survival mode.
And not get things like all the benefits that we do as Australians. I can really see that coming to our shores right now. It scares the crap out of me. I have with reason, because I know a lot about how big tech companies work and how they look at drivers as commodities. They don't want to take responsibility for things like if accidents happen and things go wrong. Okay. And also another thing I hate too, we spend $1 in this country and it gets sent overseas. Yeah. And and then you got things like tax issues. I mean, we all loved when taxis got replaced by Uber because we had this cool, almost a game that we could play called Book an Uber, and they used the hire car people to sort of get a foot in the door, and then they almost got rid of the hire car people, and then every Joe Schmo these days can be an Uber driver. And then so the hire cars got pushed out of the way, and then all of a sudden you've got all these taxis that their license plates are worth nothing. Now, I get it. The service is amazing, right, with Uber. I get it, right? And but if you look at it from a taxpayer's perspective, right, you've got all these potentially unsophisticated, tax-wise, small companies that are taxi providers that pay tax. Mm-hmm. And it goes to a company that eliminates that, so there's less tax coming into the system, and then it goes to a company that sends a lot of their money offshore with sophisticated, tax plans and lawyers and rooms of lawyers and teams of tax experts and all that sort of stuff, and then all of a sudden a whole lot less tax is being paid, which is another thing that I just thought of. I don't think I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm not. But look, the Courier Academy is all about telling stories of the little guy or little girl behind the wheel, whether you're working for as a courier, as a truck driver, for big tech, if you're riding a bike, doing food deliveries and all that sort of stuff. So we are your platform. We can only fix things if we know about the problems. So please get in touch with us.
Let us hear the problems.
Yes.
We're here to support and to help.
100%. Sit in the same chair that the famous Priscilla sat in, and come and have a chat with me, and let's start telling a whole bunch of stories. And as I said, we can't fix anything if we don't know about it. So come in and tell us your story. And you might want to elaborate on the US thing and what you see coming here into this country. I think we need to put a stop to it. So please get in touch with us. And thanks for coming in, Priscilla.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
I always do one of these things now. It's kind of a tradition, Courier Academy tradition.